Today we are going to look at communities. The overall question is, what is a community? We all live in a community. Do you live in the country or in the suburbs? Do you live in a small town or a big city? Do you have a lot of neighbors or no neighbors? There are different kinds of communities all over the world. Which community do you live in? After we look at the different types of communities, you will be able to answer that question. We are going to focus on 3 specific types of communities. In order to do that, we're going to create a web. The first one is an urban community. We then have a rural community. And lastly, we have a suburban community. Let's take a closer look at the urban community and find out more information. In an urban community, there are lots and lots of people living closer together in a small amount of space. Also, there's not very much open space or natural areas. And lastly, cities are also known as urban communities. So, New York City is considered to be an urban community. The transportation in an urban community includes taxis, subways, buses, and last but not least, walking, because everything is so close to each other. The architecture in an urban community includes tall buildings, also known as skyscrapers, apartments, this is where people live, also, you normally won't be seeing backyards in an urban community because there isn't many grasslands. Here's a little picture of some tall skyscrapers that you might see in an urban community. Now that we've just learned about the urban community, we're going to take a look at the rural community. In a rural community, there's lots of open spaces and natural areas, there's farmland, there's fewer people, and everything is a lot more spread out. The transportation in a rural community includes cars, because everything is a lot farther away from one another, so walking isn't very useful, tractors, and last but not least, pickup trucks. The architecture in a rural community includes houses, barns/farms, and buildings, but not as high as the urban community. And this is also known as the country. Now that we finished with the rural community, we're going to take a close look at the last community, and that is the suburban community. The suburban community is close to the city, but not in the city. There are fewer people in a suburban community than in an urban community, but there's more people that live in a suburban community than a rural community. Houses are often in neighborhoods, and many people have backyards, unlike the urban community. The transportation in a suburban community includes driving cars, taking buses, and walking. The architecture in a suburban community includes houses, apartments, and even condos. And here's a quick little picture of some houses and some trees, because like we said, there's lots of greenery in a suburban community. Those are the 3 types of communities that exist.